This is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soy Bifa Jackeridge. Switzerland, for all its snow-capped mountains and crisp alpine air, has failed to protect its people from the ravages of climate change as a top European court ruled this week. Behind the picture, postcard exterior, critics say is a country that has done too little for the planet and acted as a business hub for some of the most powerful international corporations in fossil fuels and mining. Political analysts and academics also say entrenched conservatism and a political system governed by popular referendums will complicate reform even after Tuesday's ruling by the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. It's found in favor of over 2,000 Swiss women, a third of them over 75, who said their country's inaction in the face of rising temperatures put them at risk of dying during heat waves. The ruling cannot be appealed, and the Swiss Federal Office of Justice, which represented the government before the court, said it must be implemented. It said it would analyze the rulings to determine the measures the country needed to take immediately after the court's decision. The Swiss Green Party called for climate targets for specific industries, including the financial sector. Swiss-based commodity trading companies handle 40% of all oil trades and 60% of the metal trading business, according to data published by industry association Swiss-Negoci. The group of Swiss women known as Klima Seniorinnen did not make Swiss trading central to their case, although their Greenpeace-backed campaign that lasted many years called for tougher regulation to curb transactions fueling global warming. Fortnite video game maker Epic Games has urged the federal judge in California to force Google to open up its Play Store to greater competition after a jury found the US tech giant had abused its power as a gatekeeper for apps on the Android mobile platform. Epic made its proposal in a court filing to US District Judge James Donato in San Francisco, seeking among other things to require Google Play Store to allow the distribution of competing third-party app stores for 6 years and also limits the company's ability to make agreements with device makers to restrict preloading of competing app stores. Donato presided over a blockbuster antitrust trial that ended in a jury verdict against Alphabet-owned Google in December. Representatives from Google and Epic did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Donato is not bound to grant Epic's proposal, and a hard fight is likely before any permanent order on Google is issued. But the new filing sets up the next key test of Google's ability to impose controls on app developers and consumers. The jury in December said Google unlawfully impeded developers' ability to freely distribute their apps outside of Google's Play Store and kept an overly tight grips on payment for transactions within apps. Epic's proposed injunction also said Google should be barred from restricting the ways an app can inform users out of app purchasing options. Google has defended its App Store practices and denied any wrongdoing. The company has a May 3rd deadline to respond to Epic's proposal. Epic's lawsuit did not demand monetary damages. North Carolina-based Epic Games is a privately held company in which China's Tencent owns a 40% stake and Walt Disney owns a stake of about 9% as of February. Google separately in December agreed to pay $700 million to resolve state and consumer allegations over its Play Store restrictions. Australian prosecutors have discontinued mining magnate Andrew Forrest's criminal prosecution of Meta over what he said were thousands of scam cryptocurrency advertisements on Facebook that featured his face. The decision is a setback for Forrest, the 37% owner of iron ore producer Fortescue Metals Group and Australia's second richest person, in his quest to hold the internet giant accountable for the ads. A separate civil lawsuit he has filed against Meta over the ads postcards in California is ongoing. A spokesperson for the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecution said on Friday that the department had found there was insufficient evidence to continue the prosecution, but did not elaborate. Forrest has accused Meta of breaking Australia's anti-money laundering laws by allowing third-party scammers to use its software and platform to advertise fake cryptocurrency schemes that feature photos of his face, leading people to believe he had endorsed them. He had pursued the lawsuits on the Australian laws that allows an individual to criminally prosecute a foreign corporation with the consent of the Attorney General. Forrest said in a statement that the decision to dismiss the case was tragedy for innocent parents and grandparents who have lost their life savings. A Meta spokesperson said scams were complex threats. Perpetrators use every available platform, and our sympathy goes out to people who have been impacted. Forrest added that he would continue to pursue the California case, in which he accuses the US firm of taking insufficient steps to prevent the advertisements. Global investors dump equity funds for the second consecutive week in the week ended April 10, amid persistent inflation worries and diminishing expectations for a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut in June. Economic data released on Wednesday showed U.S. consumer prices increased more than expected in March, casting further doubt on whether the Federal Reserve will start cutting interest rates in June. Global equity funds saw an outflow of $2.9 billion during the week, with US and Asia equity funds witnessing outflow worth $2.7 billion and $1.9 billion respectively. On the other hand, European equity funds collected an inflow of $901 million. Among sectorial funds, investors withdrew a net $708 million out of the technology sector, breaking a 12-week-long buying trend. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris travels on Friday to Arizona, 3 days after a court there upheld a 160-year-old abortion ban, igniting a charged issue in one of the 2024 most competitive election states. Arizona's conservative Supreme Court sent a shockwave through the narrowly divided state that could swing the presidential race and determine control of the Senate. Strategists in both parties said the ruling, which outlaws nearly all abortions, would push even Republican-leaning moderates towards Democrats, while also animating young voters and voters of color. U.S. President Joe Biden has taken taxed Harris, a former prosecutor and senator, with leading the administration's reaction to the U.S. Supreme Court's 2022 ruling overturning Roe v. Wade abortion rights, and with reaching core liberal voters undecided on a second 4-year term for the president. Biden beat Republican opponent Donald Trump in Arizona by fewer than 11,000 votes, or out of 3.3 million ballots cast in 2020, the Democrats' narrowest margin of victory in any state. Democrats think restrictions on reproductive rights can help them secure another victory in the broader states where voters had been more focused on cost of living issues and immigration. Harris visited Phoenix, Arizona's capital, just last month to talk about abortion rights as part of Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour that has taken her to 20 states and included a visit to a Minnesota health clinic that offers abortion services. Trump, set to face Biden again in November's election, has distanced himself from the Arizona ruling. He said the court had gone too far in reviving a near-total abortion ban, even while defending the Supreme Court's decision that permitted states to restrict abortion. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Friday.